That brings us to item B, first reading on alcohol ordinance revision and fee schedule. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading and place it on our April 13th council meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Kraus. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor, all those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. That brings us to our new business, consideration action on approval to purchase specialty items for the town green. Mr. Sanders, anything you need to tell us?
Mayor and Council, these are items where we can save approximately 22% over bidding those, waiting until we bid the project and have the contractor purchase the items. So since we have budgeted to move forward, it just makes economic sense to purchase these specialty items ahead of time and save that premium in dollars.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on item A?
Motion to approve item A, purchase of specialty items for the town green.
Is that not to exceed
Not to
$21,000
exceed $21,000
from the 2014
from the
SPLOST
2014
funds?
SPLOST.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by motion by Mr. Emanuel, seconded by Mr. Howard. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor, all those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item B, we have consideration and approval of the master annexation plans. I had thought we brought the maps down with us. Do we not have those? We do not. Do you have that? Can you pull that up on the computer screen? While Ms. Fleeman's looking for that, Mr. Sanders, you want to give us some background information?
We can certainly make those available to the public immediately. Anyone who wants to come by and take a look. Annexation has been a topic of discussion for the mayor and council almost since I have been here 2.5 years. And we have developed what the staff believes are a set of maps that make sense as far as going out and continuing a smart service delivery strategy, bringing in properties where we have a chance to develop new tax digest. We are currently at 96% totally developed in property in the city. If we don't annex and find some property, vacant property, that can be developed, it's very difficult for the city to grow. And it makes it much better with annexation. Everybody shares the burden then. Right now, the existing residential base has to support all of the tax-supported services that we have. By expanding, we bring in basically new folks to share those costs. They have a say in what goes on in the city, and the city grows. We have a larger surplus of people who are interested in what's going on. It's very good timing for residential folks to come into the city right now. We're looking at doing a unified development ordinance. We're looking at doing a master transportation plan. These are things that new citizens can get involved in and help basically paint the future for us. So I think it's a very good time, and we've identified 3 directions: 78 west, 78 east, and then basically a more residential area around Ronald Reagan Parkway, where we will be in contact with the property owners. And I've always said that annexation needs to be a win-win proposition. It needs to be good for the property owner. It needs to be good for the city. And that's what we will be looking to do.
Thank you, and I believe Ms. Fleeman has found those maps. So this is the map for Highway 78 East. Let me just clarify, the agenda item tonight is approval of these maps. It doesn't mean that we are actually annexing in anything tonight. This is something we discussed at our retreat. It's been on the last couple of work sessions so that mayor and council can have a consensus of what areas we want to concentrate on annexing. At the last work session meeting, I did form an annexation committee to be chaired by Councilman Kraus. And so this is Highway 78 East that would cover down to Rosebud Road. Is there a motion to, do we want to do this as all together, or do we want to do these individually? This is 78 East, can you go to, this is 78 West. It would focus our efforts on annexing all the way up to High Point. And then the next one would be going down Tree Lane, annexing all the way up to the high school, and focusing on some of the residential area behind the Lowe's Shopping Center. Do I have a motion to approve the master annexation plans?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion by Ms. Kraus. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Emmanuel. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6-0. All those opposed. 6 in favor. All those opposed. 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Thank you, Ms. Fleeman, for that. And Mr. Thompson, can I ask for your help on the next one? Can I just? Yes, you have that one? Okay. We then have item C, consideration approval of the new master plan for Briscoe Park. Other direction, sorry. We had several visioning sessions at Briscoe Park back in October to create a new master plan for Briscoe Park. Currently, we're in phase 2B of doing the softball fields, and we are refiguring what phase 3 should be based on our future needs and our future SPOS funds. And so Mayor and Council, this was the input that we got from citizens and Mayor and Council. So tonight we'll be taking official action. Do I have a motion to approve this new master plan for Briscoe Park?
Motion to approve new master plan for Briscoe Park.
There's a motion by Mr. Manuel. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Kraus. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed. 0 opposed. The plan stands approved. Now we have nomination. I nominate Ela Trelaski. Is that even? Treliski to serve on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. All those in favor of the nomination signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, that's 0 opposed. The nomination stands approved. E, we have consideration and approval of Overcomers House, Inc. to use the town green and stage. Do we have a motion? Motion to approve by Ms. Kraus. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Witz. All those in favor. And for clarification, this would be on August 1st? Right. August 1st. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed. 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item F was moved, and so that concludes our business. Now for our council reports, Mr. Witz.
Just a couple of announcements. First of all, the Marcy Farris Volunteer of the Year Award Dinner will be on April 11th. That's always a fun time. Many of the organizations in the city have turned in their nominations, and the final decision will be made prior to that night by the committee. So if you're available and want to have a good time, it's out at the Summit Chase Country Club. It's only $15 per person. I promise you'll get your money's worth. Secondly, we're making plans for our Memorial's first birthday on the Saturday before Memorial Day on May 23rd. We got a surprise for you. I can't tell you what it is yet, but we got a surprise coming. But we're also going to have the balloon launch again that night. It was so successful last November, we want to do it again, and we think maybe with the warmer weather, we won't have so many balloons coming back down on top of this. So we hope you look forward to that. I do have a comment I want to make about the budget. We heard tonight during the budget that we have a large fund balance. I want to clarify that. We do. Most of that, or a lot of it, is because when the SDS money came back from the county, the council made a conscious decision to set that money aside so we could use it towards our town center. So please understand, although it looks like we have this money, it's been set aside. If we're going to fund our town center, there's only 3 ways to do it. Either we're going to have a TAD, which is a tax district, which we don't have. We're going to have to float bonds, which raises taxes. Or we're going to have to be very constructive and ingenious and do what we've been doing for the last 2 years and putting money aside, while at the same time reducing property taxes in the city. So it's no, we didn't raise anybody's taxes to put this money aside. It's just been frugal. Our city manager has done an excellent job of doing as much, delivering our services and doing everything we do in the city at as little amount as we possibly can so we can put this money aside. The town center is going to make our city so much better. We've got to do it. We're looking at the best way to do it to help the people the best way. Thank you.
Just a couple of things. One other note to add to the mayor's comments with the annexation maps that we approved tonight, that this is just our ideas of where we would like to expand the city. Just want anybody that's in those areas to understand that we are not going to take their property from them, and we're not going to do anything that they're not willing to do. A lot of times when you start talking annexation, eminent domain comes into people's heads that we're just going to come and steal their property out from under them, and that is not the case at all. It'll all be done voluntarily if people are willing to do that, and we hope that they are. Just one other comment as well. Tonight in the work session, the mayor read through changes that she has made to the city charter, which is now known as Senate Bill 228, I believe. The council members did not make any comment in the work session on the changes, and the mayor stated at the time that she accepted that as that no one had any concerns regarding the changes. The fact is that the Senate bill was actually dropped or presented. It didn't mean that it was done away with. In the legislative language, when a bill drops, that means it's put into play. It was actually dropped last week, unbeknownst to us. We were made aware of it just shortly before that. Therefore, really the time to discuss concerns or issues with the charter has already passed. The bill's already being considered. In addition, the mayor has appealed an issue to the Supreme Court, and we're still waiting on a Supreme Court ruling on one issue. Supreme Court issue is not due to come out until, or due to be settled until later this year. So as a council, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but we have talked about things. We feel like any charter changes being presented at this point are premature. Once the Supreme Court rules, then we are all committed to sitting down and reviewing the charter through a committee process involving the council and citizens as well. And we're committed to doing this in the sunshine, out in the open, with the citizens who will be governed to help make the decisions on how they should be governed.
Thank you, Ms. Bender. April 6th, I'd like you all to put that on your calendar. We're having a fundraiser at Mellow Mushroom. It's going to go on all day. All the proceeds will be tallied, and 10% will be given to the Southeast Gwinnett Co-op. Rich Sullivan from WGST will be there between 12 and 2 in the afternoon, so if you want to come by and maybe talk on the radio, that opportunity is available. We'll also have silent auction and raffle between 6 and 8 in the evening, and I think I'd like to encourage everybody to come out and enjoy it. It's for a great cause. We were up at the co-op the other day for a meeting, and every time I go up there, I'm just more and more amazed at what a great job they do with such limited resources. And I think anything we can do to expand those resources helps a lot of people. And a lot of people think that it's only destitute people who are out of a job and just have no other place to turn who go there. But there are a number of people who have just gotten caught in this economy where they're working half the number of hours or for half the pay. And it's essential to help these people because they can really make ends meet with a little bit of help. So it's not a dependency lifestyle. They're just looking for a bridge till they can get to where they were before and get off on their own. And we do hear stories of people who have been clients and have gotten a job and come back and are making donations because they appreciate the help they got and they want to pass that on. So I'd encourage everybody to come out, bring all your friends, relatives, in-laws, outlaws, whoever, and have some good pizza and help a great cause.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. I don't have any report, but I just wanted to let you know that I would not be here at the next council meeting. I have an opportunity to visit Vatican City in Italy, and I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, and I hate to miss the meeting, especially second read on alcohol ordinance. But
You'll be drinking wine, so you'll be
anyways, I just apologize for not being and doing my job for the next council meeting, but that's where I will be, and I will see you all when I get home.
How y'all doing? Hello, out there. A lot of good things going on. Had recently a couple of nights where we had the cop cab out. Unfortunately, we did have an incident that night with a driver that apparently consumed way too much alcohol. Unfortunately caused an accident, some injuries. It still happens. No matter how much we promote the idea, we talk about it, it still happens, and it happens in our city. And it could have been more devastating than it was, but it wasn't. So we continue that mission with that vehicle of being out there on the road, being out where people can see it, being in places where, you know, the kids can see it, and just hopefully somebody gets the message and somebody sees it and makes that decision not to do something that could be life-altering forever. For the folks on the Facebook world, there's a new Facebook page out there that Snellville Shop Local Buy Local. I'm awful proud of that, and it is already garnering a lot of attention, a lot of support, and it's something that has been part of my mantra throughout the time that I've been here, is that we want to support the local businesses if we can, because that's, you know, a lot of those people, you know, depend on our support. They have to provide a good service and a good product to get that support. I understand it's a two-way street, but we have a lot of opportunities to support a lot of the businesses in our city, and I'm proud of the fact that a lot of the citizens in this city do that, and I'm proud of that. So many good things are going on in the city of Snellville, and I hope nobody ever loses sight of that, despite of the other stuff that is out there. The high road's a great place to be, and I want us all to stay there and think about the good stuff happening, the good relationships that people are building in this city, and the idea that the volunteer base in this city continues to build because one person taps the next person on the shoulder and says, hey, come, it's a lot of fun. And there's a relationship in there somewhere that most will never forget. So I challenge everybody in this room to do something for our city, because the opportunities are endless, the memories are endless, and the great joy we get from doing it is why we're out there at midnight picking up trash in the parking lot at the First Baptist Church, or firework residue, or whatever it's called. So believe it or not, there's a lot of fun to be had in times like that. And I know sometimes I get a little wordy, and I sometimes want to apologize for that, but it's important for me to express how I feel about that's going on in this city. And just don't ever forget, good things are happening here. Rise above it. We're going to do more good things as the road goes, and just keep your head high.
Can I borrow a couple of words to your report? I was out with Bobby one night in the cop cab, and I got to tell you, we were at a place, and up drove a taxi cab, and out came a patron who had too much to drink. It is making a difference.
That concludes the council reports. Now for the mayor's report. I didn't plan on addressing this issue tonight because, to be honest, I think that Senate Bill 228 will probably never make it out of committee, but since it's become a subject, just want to briefly talk about it. for probably the past 10 years, there have been charter issues. Since our charter was enacted or amended by the General Assembly in 2004, there have been charter issues here in the city of Snellville. Since that time, there have been people, and I don't like to use the word sides, but that's what it's come down to. There have been people on both sides who have repeatedly asked representatives and senators to address this issue or address that issue. So first and foremost, I want to thank Senator Butler for having the courage to get involved in this issue. It's become apparent by Facebook posts over the past few days, couple of weeks, that the objections have to do with something that has been defined as weak mayor versus strong mayor. Those terms don't really exist here in the city of Snellville. Those are terms of academia. But regardless, I don't want to go into that. Regardless, I want to talk about the process. In January, I believe late January, possibly sometime in January, I reached out to my state representative, State Representative Harold, and my state senator, Senator Butler, and asked for help. Ideally, this would have been something that would have come in front of the mayor and council, but Snellville politics is not an ideal world, as we all know, and I had no faith that, given the relationship the past 3.5 years of myself and members of this council, that we would get anywhere with changing our charter, correcting some of the mistakes or some of the ambiguous language that is in the charter. So I reached out to Representative Harold and Senator Butler and asked for help. I asked the General Assembly to do what they have the authority to do, to step in, because no city can exist, no city can have power unless it is given by the General Assembly. And that's what I asked our state legislators to do. I didn't hear a response until just fairly recently when Senator Butler said she had done some research and she was willing to step up and make what amendments she felt were right. And that is what is before the Senate now in Senate Bill 228. I stand by the fact that there are no real changes in the charter. It is clarifications of language. The major change is the nomination of the city attorney with the confirmation of council, because as this mayor and council has argued, the city attorney reports to everyone, and so everyone should have a voice in who that city attorney is. And that's actually the way that the council, for several years, starting in 2005 until 2010, had the charter written. Ms. Bender alluded to the fact that we have outstanding legal issues, and we do. We still have a counterclaim that the members of this council have filed against myself. I believe a 17-count counterclaim that's still pending in Superior Court. We still have a ruling that's outstanding by the Georgia Supreme Court. But if these charter changes had passed or would pass the General Assembly, then it would make those legal issues moot, and it would allow the city to move forward without having to resolve any future litigation. It also is important to note that this is being presented in the last year of my term of office. And so these changes would take effect not to benefit me, but to benefit whoever wins the election come November. When I suggested changes to Senator Butler, I knew full well it may be Councilmember Witt sitting in this middle seat, but I made changes that I thought were in the city's best interest regardless of who is sitting in this middle seat. Some of the things I suggested made it into Senate Bill 228. Some of them did not. These suggestions were not my suggestions alone. I consulted with other attorneys, with my attorneys that represented me in litigation. I consulted with the GMA model charter that was revised just last year, and looked at city charters from the city of Dunwoody, the city of Suwanee, the cities of Norcross, Duluth, and Stockbridge, to make sure that no language or any procedures were inconsistent with what other cities were doing. I don't believe, as Ms. Bender said, this Senate Bill 228 has been presented to the state Senate. It's been put on for a first read, but it has not been passed. It's not too late to make amendments to Senate Bill 228, and that's why I put this on discussion for the work session tonight. The sad thing to note is that no one had any comments during the work session tonight, and it's my understanding that in the week and a half, 2 weeks, no one from this council has bothered to contact Senator Butler to suggest any changes or make any comments. It has been, because Senator Martin has not signed off on Senate Bill 228, it has been referred to committee. It has been referred to the State and Local Government Operations Committee. And it would take a vote of that committee, a favorable vote, for it to come out and to appear on a local legislative consent agenda. Both Senator Martin and Senator Butler serve on that committee. So at this point in time, I don't anticipate, unfortunately, any further action being taken on Senate Bill 228. But I believe it's an important discussion to have. I believe that is a good starting point, and I would urge the council to look at Senate Bill 228 sincerely and not have the knee-jerk reaction of something as being presented by the mayor. With that, it is springtime. I had the pleasure of throwing out the first pitch to Little League over the weekend. The weather's improving, and Kona Ice has offered to come on April 15th and set up here at City Hall after everyone has filed their taxes and give out free ice cones. So look for Kona Ice to be here on April 15th at City Hall. We don't have the hours and all the details yet, but Mr. Arrington, as soon as they are available, will get those out to the public. But it'll be a nice treat, and we appreciate them thinking of us in the city of Snellville in doing that. With that, that will conclude my mayor's report, and I will open the floor up for public comment.
Dennis Lawton, 3041 Elder Ridge Way. I stand before you tonight just to show I'm disappointed in the fact that the consensus that I heard tonight from the mayor just a moment ago in her comments was that she didn't feel she had any recourse but to do what she did, to go behind, is what I call behind what the council that we voted in as elected officials. What I would hope is that if she had made the effort and she was turned down, she could have said, I've made all the effort that I possibly can, but nobody's willing to communicate or listen to me or sit down at a work session and discuss it. But I didn't hear that tonight, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the fact is that I didn't get informed of it except through a social media type of a deal, and I had to ask questions, what's going on? As a citizen, I'd like to know that my city is doing something about changing something of elected officials. Whether it be right or wrong, I'd like to know. I'd like to be able to have an input or call somebody up other than just one individual or my representative or something on there, why are you doing this? It's got to be a consensus, it's got to be a group. And that's my personal opinion. I'm very disappointed that it didn't go through that kind of procedure than to go through just one individual, going to one senator or one representative and discussing it with attorneys that were not with the city, were not part of it, and that's my disappointment tonight.
I'm Jared S. Blankenship, 2867 Overwood Lane, Snellville, Georgia. If y'all want to loan Butch one, y'all can loan him one, but he, in his writings to me and my answers, he knows this and he knows all the answers in it. I'm requesting the city to have a meeting and have an interpreter to read this and interpret what he has given me under the ADA. And that is the law. Y'all have put me off. The city has. They have taken my applications, got it. I put an application for open records, which under my conditions, I should be able to talk to someone and request what I want instead of writing open records every time. I asked for a transcribe of the meetings that they have me, Lake, and ADA. You got to realize I don't speak great, I don't write great, and he turned me down. If you go with his ADA report y'all got, and this is on the buildings in 212, which that if you look at it, nobody's never made the real report, or that nobody's made any obligation of going and checking the hearing, the bathrooms, walkways, bridges you got at the park, all that's under ADA that you have to come up to standard, and nobody has ever come up with it or even had the meeting, which Mr. Howard made the statement that he wanted the meeting. They had one meeting with me with some insurance guy that told me the same thing Butch told me, and I got up and walked out because nobody ever mentioned ADA in that meeting. All they mentioned that they've done everything they could, but really they hadn't done anything. They've got a letter with Butch that they sent me on one thing where they made a statement in 212. That's the only one, or maybe one more I didn't find. You've got a letter, which y'all, if y'all could put that on that screen, and they could put it, he has over and over made the statement, we will type, transcribe anything that concerns me or like my subdivisions or vice versa. It's the C. He has wrote it letter after letter, and then when I put in applications, it goes back to 2-3. They want to charge me $25 an hour for it, which I'm not going to pay it because I don't have to pay it. And then he turned this application down in last week and says the same thing, that they have talked to me, they made this deal, they made it, but I don't know. And if y'all read that little letter, it says lie, truth. I don't know if he's lying or telling the truth, because he's refusing to type these items out that he has told y'all that he would do. And it's got his name on the letter. I think he got it the 20th, and it went through the secretary. But this has been going on since 212, and I think you need to read it or look at it and go with what the law says. He gave me the book of what the law is, but he don't want to go by the law. And it's under the Department of Justice, under the Civil Rights Division. And I know y'all don't like that word neither, but it's on that piece of paper that you got right there. He gave me the paper. I've asked him now, and I'm asking the council to make a decision on it, and also make a decision on, and I'm asking the mayor that you should have a meeting, and I can request for y'all to read this and explain this to me. And I have showed y'all the paperwork of my speech and my hearing and my pronunciations, which is not always great. And under the law, y'all should be able to do this, and I don't know if y'all know he don't do this, but he don't do it. And he's turned down another one this past week on, and he refused in this copy here, which I stated, and if it does show where I did put the request in, and then they come back with the letter that they don't do this, and we've sent you another letter back in January. He can send as many letters as he wants to, but he's wrong. And I think y'all should be, and start to think.
That is inappropriate to be counting down. Give Mr. Blankenship your respect.
So I think y'all need to think, y'all sitting up here talking about suits and everything else. The civil rights and my discrimination has been broke, and I think y'all need to look into it. And I think you need to call the civil rights and make a complaint, and y'all have them to come in and totally investigate every building, which they did 17 years ago, and you'll find out that everything ain't perfect. That back then, they did over a tremendous amount of repairs, bathrooms, walkways, kitchens, everything in the city they had to redo. And you don't just take what happened 20 years ago, you update ADA yearly. And as of this city, I have seen no actions of what y'all have repaired, replaced, or show any investigation that y'all even looked at anything or any statements that I've made. And I made the other statements for the walking, my talking, and my actions, and I think that y'all need to look into this as a council. Thank you. I do want a copy of this, sir, as you promised before. You know, it's in the
My name's
meeting.
Jamie Dempsey, fourth. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't care who you are.
I'm
Sir,
sorry, sir.
don't interrupt me when I'm talking,
I'm sorry, sir.
okay?
Absolutely. My name's Jamie Dempsey, 430 Crested View Drive. Just wanted to say, Mayor, Council, and folks here, just to tag on to Councilman Howard's comments about good things happening in the city. There are 2 ribbon cuttings, 2 businesses opening up here in the city. The first is having a ribbon cutting on the 30th. It's Blinky's Restaurant, which is over next to the Dunkin' Donuts on 78. At 11:30, they're going to be offering lunch and some things. And then the second is on the 3rd of April at Right Choice Realty at 2385 Clower Street, Suite D. They will be offering a lunch and ribbon cutting at 11:30, from 11:30 to 1. And we'd like to invite everybody to come out and be a part of just good things going on in the city. Thank you.
Tricia Rollins, 2088 Harbor Oaks Drive. I'd just like to thank the mayor and council for the job they did at Harbor Oaks and 124, the intersection there, and Butch. With Public Works putting the timbers down has stopped all the jumping of the curb and has saved possibly an accident with a child. Tonight I come to you with another problem. I have another neighborhood that is asking for help. That's at Maple and Church Street. They're reaching out to the police department and the city to do something about that intersection with the housing that is coming forward with at the end of Church Street, the new growth down there. They've got people flying past the stop sign at Maple. I witnessed it twice, once about 3 weeks ago and once this weekend. You have to really be careful and stop at that stop sign, and don't take for granted that the person that's coming Church Street is going to stop. Because I thought a car was going to stop, and thank goodness I stayed back and waited for him to come to a complete stop, because he just rolled on through and kept going. But the neighborhood, E.R. Snell Estates, which is Maple, Plum, and that area back in Pine, has come forward to me and asked me to come up and ask you to pay attention to that intersection as the growth continues back in that area. It's becoming more and more dangerous at that intersection. Thank you.
Sharon Hetherington, 1953 Colony Oaks Drive, Snellville. On or about March 14th, the 5 members of council and many of the citizens of Snellville found ourselves once again in shock and horror at the actions of Mayor Kautz. This time, at the behest of Ms. Kautz, State Senator Gloria Butler agreed to introduce legislation that would radically change the charter of the city of Snellville. Much like the city clerk debacle of January 2014, Ms. Kautz acted unilaterally, in secret, to produce these changes. Ms. Kautz advised the citizens against having a knee-jerk reaction. She said that the changes to the charter addressed language issues. She further said, the authority of the mayor is addressed, but no new authority is added, and so forth, whatever so forth means. Ms. Kautz said that these were amendments, not really changes. That is not true. Although we are not attorneys, I and others who have read the proposed changes believe that in reality, the amendments proposed by Kautz and Butler totally rewrite the charter, giving the mayor direct power over all boards and commissions, as well as appointed city officials such as the city attorney. These amendments, not really changes, are a blatant attempt to shift the balance of power to giving a mayor dictatorial power over nearly all of the city's operations. Couts indicates that we are supposed to feel better about this because she, as mayor, may or may not benefit from the changes. Couts said that any legislation that will help put some of the interpretation issues to rest will be a benefit to the city. That is not true. Only legislation that adheres to a system of checks and balances and majority rule benefits this city. Couts further said, someone using politics to stand in the way of a bill meant to help does not have the long-term best interest of the city in mind. This was in response to council members questioning the secrecy and true content of the amendments. The promoters of this bill, Couts and Butler, are using politics to benefit the long-term interests of themselves, but not this city as a whole. Nefarious acts such as quietly hiring a city clerk for a position that is not vacant, or secretly attempting to change governmental policies that are not in the city's best interest. Fortunately, the internet and social media provide a means to bring actions to the attention of the public. The internet and electronic media also provide citizens with a loud voice to applaud or condemn. I, for one, will use my loud voice to ask questions until I understand facts and motives. I will also use it to spread the word about any underhanded actions taken by any of our elected officials. Thanks.
Good afternoon, council, members, community. My name is James Richardson, Sr., 1081 High Tide Court, Loganville, Georgia. I have a business here in Snellville. My wife is the wonderful city clerk in Snellville, in the city where everybody's somebody. I've often heard people say in this setting that they want things to be as they were, or they want things to return like they were. This is a cell phone from 1985. Anyone that wants things to return just like they were, I'll exchange this cell phone for your smartphone. Any takers? I guess we don't want things to be like they were then, huh? Okay, then let's go, let's take it from there. I'm gonna address this to, not at. The members in front of me. And I said two simply because we got educated folks in here. And educated folks sometimes switches words around, throw things around, and mix words up. And if I would say I would directing this at you, would leave nothing for you to return. I am talking to you so that you can have a response. And as I say, I am responsible for anything that I say. I take full responsibility for anything that I say. I am small in stature, but I am a man. I choose to talk about communication simply because we have a communication problem. You don't want to admit it? It's cool. You don't have to. You got a communication problem. I would like these members go back in your mind. Only you can do this. And the reason I said it like this is up to you. And I'm going to leave it in your mind. I want you to go back in your mind to your first 3 conversations, not your first 3 conversations with my wife, Ms. Richardson. In your mind, your first 3 conversations. Now, go back in your mind to your first 3 conversations with the previous sitting city clerk. In your mind, no one can do this. No one here can do this. You have to do this. We're talking about your communication skills. I know I'm going to go over this minute thing, but if you have to, just go ahead and put me out. I don't mind. I'll leave. But I feel I have something to say. And all of us have something that old folks has told us at one time that we kind of stick to. My parents used to say, don't simply talk because you got a tongue. Talk because you got something to say. I got something to say. I'm going to let you soak in your head for those first 3 conversations. We all know that nothing can be done without good communications. We've tried it. Anyone in here that's in business, or anyone in here that has anything to do with success, know that nothing can be done without good communication. If there is, I'll accept that argument anytime from anyone. Because leaders are good communicators. Leaders are eager to learn. Leaders never know enough. You are elected as leaders, as individual leaders. Individual communicators. As a group, you are to make decisions. But you should be arguing among yourself who is the best leader, who is the best communicator, not who left a dot off a sentence or who don't know how to do certain little idiotic things that you arguing and constantly going back and forth with the mayor. That's not leadership. And I just suggest that you do what you have proved that you can do. You have proved that you have been good leaders. You have proved that you can do a good job. You have proved that with your previous sitting clerk. You have proved it. But something happened. Something happened. You have to decide what it was that happened. Probably don't like my way of delivery, but I really don't mind. I really don't care, because I believe that I am speaking the truth. I'm tired of looking on FaceSpace or Facebook and being considered, someone called me a hang-on. I never hung on to anything. Someone called me and described me as a gang something, Mr. Howard. I'm not any of those things. My name is James Richardson Sr. I take full responsibility for anything that I say I do. And I say to the city council, you are doing a good job. You are doing a good job, but remember, good, better, and best. Good is just the first step. So I say to you, city council, members of the community, keep one thing in mind. Respect And God knows things will change. Things will be better for you, the city, and everybody around you. Because if you know it or not, if you believe it or not, everything must, not might, not maybe, change. The old, you're going to get on out of here. There's going to be some young blood coming in here. And as I told you the first time I stood in front of this podium, things will change in Snellville, and you're seeing it right there. It's going to get better, and it's going to change. And I thank you so much for your time.